another Kairos Flexible Time Scheduler tutorial video. In this one we're going to look at staff course sections, student classes, and student roles. So first let's start with staff sections. Now this is how your staff or your learning facilitators will see the different groups of learners. So if you want, in this situation for Hightown, if you want all four classes to be seen by every teacher, you're going to have to do this 4 times for every teacher. So, for example, you're going to pull in the staff number, ID number, their username, your school short name, which is Hightown. The period, just put 1. We're just going to make them all generic for period 1. If you were doing this more of a 7-period deal and it was all mixed, then you'd want to change that up, but period 1 will be fine. It will just be the generic default for you. Your course name is the primary one. Your course section will be primary 1. Your course name will be primary 1, and your section ID will be primary 1. This is important again. Your school number is number 4. And the term, again, just make it default number 1. The term start date and end date needs to match the school calendar. So whatever you put in the school calendar file, I'll pull that up here, 8/1 to 8/1 needs to match here. So if we do 8/1/2017, then you need to have that match. Here, if I am the learning facilitator and I need to see, I am offering primary 1 learners and I want to see primary 2, intermediate 1, and intermediate 2, I need to make sure that myself as a learning facilitator are teaching all 4 of those. Now I'm only focused on 1, but if like we've talked about, if you need to pull learners from another one, you can do that. So it's important that you put your teachers in there 4 times for those 4 different courses. And just as you see here. Now, this can be just a copy paste over from the people file. So if you remember here, in the people file, you're going to have all of the staff ID numbers right here. Just go down, copy, paste. Now, you might want to do it where, so you do that paste there, then you go back and you pull all of their usernames and you paste those there. Hightown you can just copy down, 1 you can copy down, and then I would just, so you make sure you do this right, I would just make primary 1 all of them for right there. Then what I would do is I would just copy all of that box and paste down below and make them all primary 2. Again, copy all the staff, paste below, make them intermediate 1, and so forth. Then you don't forget somebody and leave them off of that sheet, because this is the way that in the scheduler, when you're in there, in that little drop down for the courses, this is how it talks to it and sees all 4. If you don't put them all in there, then they're only seeing 1 of their courses. So that is course sections. The next one we want to look at is student roles. So if we open up student roles, you can do this a few ways. 1, you can go back to your people file, and that's what I would recommend. Let that load here. And then pull the student ID numbers right here. So once you have those all inputted, just copy and paste over. Now what's unique about that is I would recommend putting them in order from primary 1 to primary 2, then intermediate 1, intermediate 2. I would put them in that order in here, because then you can just copy paste over, and then you know the first 15 or 20 are all primary 1 learners. And I would assign them to that course for easy finding. And then I would do that for the same for primary 2, intermediate 1, intermediate 2. understanding that they're going to move amongst all 4 of those. But for the setup of it, I would recommend doing it that way, just for the ease of it. Again, because we switched the date of the calendar, I need to make sure I switch the date in here. These dates all match that calendar and need to be there. The school number, again, is number 4. So just to review, pull the student ID numbers from the people file, copy them over and paste them in the document, make them all 4 because that's your school number, and then I would go through and make sure you group them primary 1, primary 2 accordingly. So that is student roles. Now we're going to look at student classes. Now this is where the system will talk and pull in their class number. So, for example, I would pull your student numbers again in order, and this time what I would use is I would use the student role file. I would just pull the student numbers, paste them in here, and then you know that the first 20 are all primary ones, so I would just copy these down to 20, and these are all my primary 1 learners. Then I know from 21 to, let's just say 40, are my primary 2 learners, and so forth. That all comes from this file. So if you set this file up so that it's student numbers and their grade is primary 1, student numbers primary 2, you can just copy and paste over. It saves you a lot of time. Again, 81-2017. And once you have that done, then you have finished all of the files. It's important to make sure you go back through all the files and delete the headers and then save them. So delete the headers on all of the files, all 6 of them, save them, and then you are ready to upload into the system to give it the first shot to see if all the data talks correctly to each other.